Fortnite has had its fair share of controversies, and with each controversy comes a content creator making a video about that controversy to use it as a springboard to get people's attention from that controversy and have a wide-range discussion about it. Controversy. However, instead of making multiple videos and milking these topics dry, like a smart YouTuber, I wanted to make one contained video that talked about multiple. A discussion of a wide range of topics, from the current hot drama to who even cares about this stuff anymore. Now, I'm not gonna talk about every Fortnite controversy. Some of them are kind of boring and or sad, so instead I'm gonna be focusing on controversies where I feel like I have something to add to the conversation. I don't want to just regurgitate drama, I want to have an actual discussion about the funny crossover game. And for the sake of my sanity, I'm not gonna be talking about drama that I've already covered on this channel. I've already made 3 videos talking about the cars in Wrecked. I don't want to make another one. You can just go watch those videos if you want to hear my opinion. And lastly, remember that these are all just my opinion. Just because I'm taking the time to say my thoughts, it does not give my opinion any authority. So feel free to disagree with me on anything I say here. And with all that being said, get your cups of tea ready, because it's time to start sipping. Oh, that's cold. The Metaverse. Ooh. Despite what you may think, the Fortnite Metaverse is not a place where you interact with the collective unconscious, and is instead Fortnite's attempt to become the everything game. You want a survival crafting game? Find it in Fortnite. You want a more casual CSGO? Find it in Fortnite. They're trying to turn Fortnite into this gaming media empire where you can play multiple different types of games within Fortnite, and it's not working. Like, it doesn't take a genius to see that. In fact, my friends and I have been clowning on this idea ever since the start of Chapter 5. It just doesn't sound like it would ever work. Like, as successful as some creative maps can be, most people are just here for the Battle Royale. The idea of a metaverse works in theory, but so far in practice, it's just not working out. Modes are rushed out with little to no content and don't get frequent updates. For example, Ballistics is really fun to play. I've been enjoying it a lot more recently. But as much as I'm enjoying it, there's just not a lot here. There's only one finished map, and Ballistic doesn't do a lot to stand out from other tactical shooters. It is more simple and streamlined than Valorant or CSGO, but other than that, there's just not much to this game mode. Part of the reason for Fortnite's success is the constant string of updates. Battle Royale gets a new update every 2 weeks and a new season every few months, but most of these game modes are just not getting that same treatment. In order for these other game modes to work, they need to be given that same level of treatment that Battle Royale has, and I just don't think that's gonna happen. However, something not a lot of people talk about with the Fortnite Metaverse is its few successes. Few being the key word in that sentence because there's not many. Fortnite Festival has been getting constant updates with new songs every week. The Guitar Hero community welcomed the mode with open arms, and it single-handedly brought plastic guitars back to the market. Player count be damned, this mode is a success. And Reload is another example. This fast-paced and more forgiving mode is a fun way to re-experience old locations. Like, you've gotta admit, Reload Tilted Towers is more enjoyable than OG Tilted Towers. Festival and Reload, in my eyes, are beacons of proof that the Metaverse idea could work, but instead of continuing to develop these modes, they're just brought down by Epic forcing the implementation of FOMO and putting more focus on other modes. In a way, I'm kinda glad to see the Metaverse idea fall on its face like this, because there's a chance that Fortnite will learn from these mistakes and make better game modes in the future. But right now, all we have is a discount LEGO Worlds, a half-baked Counter-Strike clone, and FOMO Guitar Hero. Bots. This one is interesting because the way that bots have worked in Fortnite have been the same ever since the start of Chapter 3, and for some reason, people are only now getting mad at it. Bots are just computer players in the lobby. They're stupidly easy to fight and you can spot them from a mile away. If you somehow weren't aware, about half the players in a lobby are not real, leading to several matches where you only fight a handful of real players per game. And in a game where you're meant to be fighting to be the last person standing, it's kind of anticlimactic to kill 7 fake players only to die to someone with a functioning keyboard. On the surface level, this sounds like an easy problem to fix, right? Just turn off the bots, make it so every player is real. Well, I think it's more complicated than that. Okay, hear me out, this is gonna take a second. The player count you see in the main lobby is the total player count. You would think that this number shows you how many people are currently playing the game, but that's only half true. This number is also combining every single person playing solos, duos, trios, and squads. and showing you every player from every server region at the same time. Not to mention that you might not even match with these people because of Fortnite's bizarre skill-based matchmaking that doesn't really work all that well. Now, why do I bring all this up? Because if I'm being honest, I don't know if Fortnite can fill all the lobbies with real players. In order to match players together, you need to be connected to the same server, have a similar skill-based matchmaking level, and be put in with 25, 33, 50, or 100 different people trying to do the same thing. Sure, sometimes the player count is high enough where this shouldn't be an issue, but what happens when that number dips? What if there's a season like Wrecked where peak player count is only 150,000 players? Now, there is a flaw with this line of thinking. 50v50 only has 15,000 people playing it, and loading into a match with 100 real players only takes about 15 seconds. But at the same time, that mode is squads only and has zero skill-based matchmaking. In something like Ranked, trying to get into a game can take up to 5 minutes, and most matches don't even start with 100 players. The point that I'm trying to make here is that I feel like the bot problem is bigger than just Fortnite needs bots so babies can get easy kills. Having half the lobby be bots is absolutely overkill. I feel like there should be like 30 bots maximum in a lobby, but to remove all bots from the lobby, I'm not entirely convinced. To solve the issue of this many bots could mean losing trios or losing skill-based matchmaking. Actually, a new skill-based matchmaking system sounds kinda nice. I don't know what the solution here is, and I could be wrong that Fortnite could easily fill 100-player lobbies in every mode. I just think that the problem is bigger than just bots bad. Skin rarities. Hey, remember when they removed skin rarities? Yeah, people are still mad about that. Skin rarities were removed in Chapter 5 Season 2. This is something that I didn't talk about during my Chapter 5 retrospective because I didn't really care about this change. I mean, it's a little sad seeing this feature go, now the locker has a little less personality, but other than that, I really don't mind this change. It's not really anything, which is why I was confused why so many people caused such a fuss over this. Like, guys, it's not that big of a deal. This changed at the same time as the new avatar skins coming out, and everybody was saying that now that skin rarities were gone, Epic was going to start overcharging for skins. But that's not entirely true. In fact, the current way Fortnite is selling skins could not have worked with the old rarity system. Skins had a locked-in price based on their rarity, and now when you look at the shop, most of the skins on their own are just 800. You could argue that this change is now a net positive because most skins are now priced at around 800 V-Bucks. This is mainly from them separating back blings from the skin, but still, this never would have happened with the old rarity system. Now, if you only want the skin, it's only going to cost like, what, $7? I agree that removing rarities kind of takes away from Fortnite's charm, but we kind of started to get good deals from its removal. Kind of being a key word in that sentence, because can I just complain about the item shop for a little bit? I know that everybody's been saying that the shoes are overpriced, but let's be honest with ourselves. Everything in the item shop is overpriced. Why is Scorpion 1500 V-Bucks and he doesn't even come with a back bling? You have to buy the pickaxe and the back bling together for 800, and if you add those two numbers together, it'll cost 2300 V-Bucks for the full set. That is almost 20 real-world dollars just for a skin, back bling, and a pickaxe. Or that's the same price as one singular car cosmetic. Oh, you want the new cute little Fortnite dance? Sure, that'll be 4 real-world dollars, please. Invincible with 2 styles and a back bling? That'll be 1500 V-Bucks. Duplicate? Just the skin? The same price. This thing was free a few days ago. Like, what are they doing? Splitting up skins and back blings is only good when it's a good deal, and there are several times where it isn't. But still, I feel like them removing skin rarities is a nothing change that didn't really do anything other than this. Anyway. Crossover skins. During Absolute Dune, Fortnite started to make these crossover skins that were a mix between a Marvel character and a Fortnite character, and everybody complained about them. Everybody except for me. I love these things. So many Fortnite collabs are just them adding an IP to the shop or to a battle pass with no rhyme or reason. At least with crossover skins, you can tell that more thought and effort were put into these because they did more than just add the guy to Fortnite. This type of thing just feels more like a collaboration and feels more natural than just putting the guy into Fortnite. There's also several examples of them doing this exact same thing that doesn't get nearly as much hate. The Power Armor has a Black Knight style, and Neco Miku has a Bright Bomber style. I think that skins like this are infinitely more interesting than them just adding more characters to shows that I've never seen before. But like, I'm clearly in the minority here, so I won't harp on this one for too much longer. Nick830 versus Arcch. Oh yeah, now we're getting into some real drama here. Ugh, that's still cold. This is something that happened a few months ago. Arcch donated money to Nick830's stream asking for video ideas. Nick then just kind of brushed off his donation. Arcch then tried to donate more money to Nick to try to get his attention, only to be banned from donating. Arcch then made a video accusing Nick of scamming people and blah blah blah, everything else doesn't matter. Now, I don't like Nick830, but he's clearly not scamming people. Arcch's plan here was to use this donation for a video where he would say something like, Nick830 challenged me to do this, or something like that. Look, even if Nick did answer his question and gave him a challenge, that doesn't really make this situation okay. Donating to a streamer to get them to say something just so you could use it for content is just kind of a scummy thing to do. A few years ago, Burger King did this exact same thing. They donated a few dollars to streamers and then used clips from those streamers reading the donation without their permission for an advertisement. That is the same thing that Arcch is doing here. Ever since that first video came out, Arcch has been getting a ton of backlash and has taken down almost all of his videos. And if you look through the comments on the one video that's still up, it is filled with people being overly aggressive to Arcch. Like, overly aggressive. This is kind of sad to see, but also it's probably better for Arcch to just start over from scratch and try to get attention from making good videos and not starting drama over $12. At least that's what I think, at least. If Arcch still wants to make videos, I wish him nothing but the best. Donald Mustard versus Charlie Wen. Donald Mustard stopped being the creative lead on Fortnite a few years ago, and that position has been given to Charlie Wen, putting him in charge of Fortnite's storyline. Now, Fortnite's story isn't written by one person. They have a whole team of writers working on it, but it's up to the creative lead to direct the writers, artists, and developers in the same direction and make the game feel cohesive. And to put it lightly, Wen could be doing better. The Fortnite story feels fundamentally different from when Mustard was in the lead. There's been less focus on the 0 point, the 7 were just kind of thrown away, and I don't think the words imagined order have been said by any character in years. Fortnite's overall direction has been different since Mustard left. However, different doesn't necessarily mean bad. Since Chapter 5, Fortnite has been putting more focus on its characters, introducing Hope, who is the most developed character Fortnite has ever had. You could say that title belongs to Jonesy, however most of his development was in an offshoot comic, while all of Hope's development has been entirely within the game itself. There's also the recent story moments with Daigo. He didn't fight Shogun X to save the world or anything, he did it to save his sister. Donald Mustard's storyline was always focused on saving reality first, and we barely got any personal story moments. Meanwhile, Charlie Wen is more focused on the individual people, while not really looking at the bigger picture. People keep saying the Fortnite storyline would have been better if it was still under Donald Mustard. And while I do kind of agree to an extent, we also would not have gotten as much focus on Hope or Daigo if he was. I understand that people are upset that several storylines have just been dropped, but there is substance to the new story elements that people just aren't taking the chance on. Look, I want to make a full video going over the problems with Fortnite's story in the future, so I won't talk about this for much longer. It's just that people keep focusing on the problems with the story as if the new stuff doesn't add anything. Bennjipie versus Everytime He Opens His Mouth. If you've been watching other Fortnite commentary channels, then you've probably heard of Leo. He's great, but there's also this other creator called Bennjipie. He's become well known in the community for making these videos criticizing Fortnite's recent direction. He's gotten a lot of flack for just saying his opinion. However, the problem really isn't what his opinions are, it's how he portrays them. He is so overtly negative in almost every video that he makes, and I get it. If you don't like something, he should be free to criticize it, and that's true. But saying your opinion is one thing, and being a dick is another. He makes these arguments that alienate the viewer, actively belittling people he disagrees with.
I will stand at the mountaintop. I will be as high in the fucking air as I possibly need to. I was right, and all you motherfuckers can suck my dick.
And this same energy can be found throughout all of his Fortnite videos. The reason I brought up Leo is because he basically does the same thing Benji does, but in a much better way. Better writing, more sound arguments, and even when I disagree with Leo, I can at least see where he's coming from. But when Bennjipie talks about something, he has such a blatant disregard for the people that disagree with him that I can't help but get defensive.
I think everyone is allowed to feel the way that they do, but being respectful and keeping things civil is what leads to a better conversation between both sides. All you motherfuckers can suck my dick.
But that's not even the worst part, because the worst thing Benji does is say something I agree with. I agree that Fortnite is doing too much and not enough at the same time. I agree, but I don't agree with the way he portrays his opinions. If you don't like something, there's a better way to do it without targeting a specific Epic employee and putting them on blast. That's real, by the way. That's something Bennjipie actually did. Like, what the fuck, dude? That is 100% bad faith criticism, and it doesn't even add anything to your arguments. Why even bring them into this? Just because you had a bad experience with a live event, it doesn't mean that everyone did, but you can still express your thoughts on it without targeting developers directly. Look, if you want to know why overly negative videos like this are a problem, I would highly recommend this video by Noodle. There is a way to express a negative opinion and not be a dick about it. And if you have any interest in making YouTube videos, this is definitely worth the watch.
Fucking this up rends your video or essay or tweet meaningless. No, less than meaningless. Only those who already agree with you are gonna fuck with what you're saying. It's not healthy. Not for you, not for anyone else subjected to it.
Like I said at the start of the segment, I have no problem with Benji saying his opinion. He can criticize Fortnite all he wants, but he needs to remember that just because people have a different opinion than him, that doesn't make them lesser people. And with that, I think we're gonna call it here. I do want to reiterate what I said at the start. These are just my thoughts on recent hot button topics. If you disagree with what I say, that's fine. If Benji ignores everything I say and he keeps making these videos the exact same way, that's fine. I'm not his dad. I can't control what he does. I just wanted to give out advice. He can ignore it if he chooses to. But I do hope that you at least got something out of this video. Controversies are normally never cut and dry, so it's nice to take a step back and look at things from another perspective. I promise I will complain less in the next video. Less being the key word in that sentence, because the next video is going to be me and Zach going through more ranked. And as we all know, ranked Fortnite is a perfect system with no issues. It's still cold.